Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Friday, February 13th, 2026. Now, historically, Friday the 13th is, supposed to be this day of bad luck and superstitions.
Walk under a ladder.
Exactly. Watch out for black cats.
Yeah.
But looking at the news dropping today from EON AI Ventures,
Yeah.
it feels like we're looking at the exact opposite.
It really does. At least for the industrial workforce, it feels more like a lucky break.
It really is a significant day. We're looking at a massive announcement about something called the EON Platform.
And the timing on this is, well, it's critical. This isn't just another tech product launch. It's a response to a very specific and very urgent global problem.
It is. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of the tech, because, spoiler alert, we're talking about AI generating virtual reality training in minutes.
Which sounds impossible.
It does. I want to start with the problem itself, because the tech is cool, but the context is actually kind of terrifying. There's a number of the source material that just stopped me cold.
You're talking about the retirement statistic, I take it? It's
Yeah.
exactly 50%, according to the data they released, 50% of the experienced workforce in these high-stakes industries is retiring.
And not just eventually. In the next 5 to 7 years.
That is a staggering figure when you actually sit with it.
And you have to realize this isn't just a headcount problem. It's not about having empty seats. It's about what those people are taking with them when they walk out the door.
Right. It's the brain drain. It's not just that Bob is retiring. It's that Bob is the only guy who knows the, weird trick to kick the generator to get it started in winter.
That tribal knowledge, that intuition.
It's all just walking out the door with him.
Precisely. And for decades, we've relied on that sort of master-apprentice model. The senior engineer teaches the junior engineer.
You shadow them, you watch them.
You learn by osmosis over years, but when half the masters leave at once, that model it breaks completely.
You've got a ticking time bomb for competency.
That's a great way to put it, especially in industries where mistakes can mean, well, explosions or massive power outages. Okay, so the mission for today's deep dive is to unpack the solution EON is proposing, this unified ecosystem. We're going to look at how they're using AI to turn, boring text documents into full 3D simulations. And this is the part I'm really interested in. Why they claim the written test is dead.
It's a bold claim, but when you look at the tri-modal assessment they're rolling out, it actually starts to make a lot of sense. The multiple choice era might be over.
Okay, let's dig a little deeper into the why before we get to the how. We mentioned the brain drain, but the source material also talks about a crisis of competency.
Right, in terms of how we currently train people.
Because let's be honest, corporate training usually sucks.
It does, and that's putting it mildly. Think about the standard onboarding process for a dangerous job today. You read a PDF manual, maybe you watch a grainy video from 2005.
And then you suffer through what we all call death by PowerPoint.
Followed by a quiz where you just click C or true until you pass. Exactly. And that creates what the industry calls a shallow metric. Just because you know the answer is C doesn't mean you know what to do when a turbine starts vibrating excessively.
Or a chemical pressure valve spikes into the red.
You've memorized a fact, but you haven't internalized a skill.
It's the difference between memorization and execution. I mean, I can memorize the flight manual for a 747, but please do not let me anywhere near the cockpit.
I certainly wouldn't want to be a passenger on that flight. And in these high-stakes environments, that gap is just plain dangerous.
The source material uses the phrase automable proof of execution.
Yeah, that's key. The industry is drowning in training content. I think the data shows something like 9,000 pre-built courses available, but very little of it actually proves you can do the job.
And there's a speed issue here too, right?
Okay.
Even if you wanted to build a great simulation, historically that's been a nightmare.
It has. Building a high-fidelity 3D simulation takes months. You need a team of coders, graphic designers. It's expensive and it's slow.
But the hardware is moving so fast.
Instantly. By the time you finish building the training for the new machine, that machine has already been updated or even replaced.
So you have this speed mismatch. The tech moves fast, the training moves slow, and the experts are leaving.
That is the perfect storm that EON is trying to address. They're trying to move that content creation timeline from months to minutes.
Okay, months to minutes. That is the hook. Let's talk about how. This brings us to layer 1 of the platform, what they call the Genesis engine.
This is the create layer.
Yeah.
And for anyone interested in generative AI, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the magic.
So walk me through it. I'm a training manager. I have a PDF manual, a standard operating procedure, an SOP for some complex water pump. It's boring, text-heavy. I feed it into the Genesis engine. What happens?
The AI analyzes the text, but it's not just summarizing it. It performs what's called text-to-environment generation. It understands the equipment in the PDF, and it builds a photorealistic 3D training environment based on that data.
Hold on. How does it know what the pump looks like? Is it just like hallucinating a generic pump?
That's a great question, and it's a key distinction. The system uses vast asset libraries and, crucially, a technology called automatic object segmentation.
Okay, let's unpack that. Object segmentation. What is that in plain English?
So imagine a 3D model of that pump. Usually, a computer just sees it as one big block. It's a pump.
Right.
Object segmentation means the AI identifies and separates the individual components, the valve, the handle, the pressure gauge, the bolts. It breaks the machine down into interactable parts.
So it knows that this specific cylinder is a handle that needs to be turned, and that square is a panel that needs to be opened.
Exactly. And it does this without a human coder having to manually rig every single part. That's where the massive time saving comes from.
So it connects the text to the object.
It takes the text instructions from your SOP like turn valve A 90 degrees and maps it directly to the 3D object it just segmented.
That is wild. So you're not just getting a video.
Yeah.
You're getting a world you can actually touch and manipulate.
Correct. And think about the maintenance. If you update the PDF on Tuesday morning because a protocol changed, the Genesis engine can, in theory, regenerate the simulation with the new steps by Tuesday afternoon.
That agility is the game changer. You're not stuck with outdated training because it's too expensive to fix.
Exactly. It keeps the training in sync with reality.
So we've built the world. That's layer one. Now we move to layer two, the experience. This is where the human actually learns.
Right. And it's not just go play in the sandbox and good luck. They have a very specific pedagogy here.
You can't just throw someone into a nuclear reactor simulation and say, figure it out.
No, you definitely cannot. They use what they call a progressive competency ladder. It's a 4-step process.
Designed to take someone from a total novice to an expert. Okay, run me through the rungs. Step one.
Step 1 is wonder. This is guided exploration. You're in the virtual environment, on a desktop, maybe VR, and you're just getting oriented. Identifying parts, seeing where the exits are, low stakes, low pressure.
Okay, just looking around. Step two.
Decide. Now the system introduces scenarios. The pressure is rising. What do you do? You're not physically doing things yet, but you're making cognitive choices.
So checking if I know the protocol in my head. And step three.
Perform. This is hands-on execution. You are virtually turning valves, pulling the levers, following the sequence. This is where muscle memory starts to form.
And the fourth step is verify, which we'll get to. But on the perform stage, you're in there turning valves. Are you alone?
You are not. And this is one of the coolest features, the Smart Whisper Coach.
I love that name. It sounds like something from a spy movie.
It does, doesn't it? But it's essentially a personalized AI mentor inside the simulation. It uses the Sentient Worlds engine, which means the environment is context-aware.
Context-aware meaning it knows I'm staring at the wrong button.
Exactly. If you're supposed to be checking the oil pressure, but you're looking at the coolant gauge, the Whisper Coach notices. And it can gently nudge you.
Like, hey, remember, step one is the oil pressure on the left panel.
Precisely. And that solves a huge psychological problem in training. People are often afraid to ask stupid questions to a human boss.
You don't want to look incompetent in front of the person who decides your bonus.
Spot on. An AI doesn't judge you. It doesn't roll its eyes. You can ask it to explain the same thing 5 times, and it won't get frustrated. It creates a safe space to fail.
And the source says this runs on everything, right? It's not just for people with, like, a $3,000 headset.
That's critical for scale. It works on desktop, tablet, and mobile. VR is obviously the most immersive, but a field tech with an iPad can still get the training. No dedicated VR lab needed.
Okay, so I've practiced. The Whisper Coach has taught me the ropes. I've failed safely. Now comes the part EON argues changes everything. Layer 3, the verification.
This is where we say goodbye to the multiple choice quiz. They call it the tri-modal assessment engine.
Tri-modal, meaning 3 different ways of testing you.
Correct. And this is unique. Most training stops at mode 1, which is the written test. EON keeps that scenario-based questions to make sure you know the theory.
But that's just the baseline.
Just the entry ticket. Mode 2 is oral.
This is the one that really stood out. You literally have to talk to the AI.
Yes. It's an AI-powered dialogue. Imagine you finish a sequence. The system pauses and asks, why did you choose to bypass the secondary pump before shutting down the main valve?
That is
Mhm.
that is significantly harder to fake. You can't just guess C.
It's impossible to guess. You have to articulate your reasoning. It mimics, like, a PhD defense or a pilot's oral exam. It tests if you understand the why, not just the what.
The AI would know if you're just reciting steps without understanding them.
It would catch that, yes. It's like having a tough professor inside the machine.
And then mode 3.
Performance. This is the simulation-driven evaluation. You have to execute the task in the virtual world. No whisper coach, no hints, no glowing markers.
So can you do it safely, in the right order, within the time limit?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to pass the written test,
Mm-hmm.
explain myself to an AI, and then perform the task perfectly in a simulation.
Correct. And if you do all three, that generates what they call compliance-ready documentation.
Which, for anyone in management or compliance listening, that's the big deal right there.
That's the ROI moment. You don't just have a spreadsheet saying, John passed. You have an audit trail, a trail that proves John knows what he's doing.
And that's huge for liability. If
Yeah.
something goes wrong, you can say, look, we verified this person knew the procedure.
Absolutely. And it feeds into what they call predictive skill gap analysis. Because the system tracked every hesitation, it can predict failure.
How so?
It might say, John passed, but he hesitated on the emergency shutdown procedure for 10 seconds. In a real fire, that's too long. He needs a refresher.
It's proactive safety. Catching the mistake in the digital twin before it causes a disaster in the real world. That's fascinating.
It transforms training from a box-checking exercise into a strategic asset.
I want to zoom out a bit. We talk about AI a lot, and usually it's ChatGPT, Gemini, these big generic models. Why can't I just ask ChatGPT how to fix the pump?
You could, but you'd be taking a massive risk. This brings up the 80% versus 100% rule from the EON white paper.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Generic AI is great for creative tasks. If it writes an email that's 80% correct, you can fix the last 20%. That's fine for office work.
But 80% accuracy in a nuclear plant is a meltdown.
Exactly. You cannot hallucinate a safety protocol. You need 100% precision. EON's argument is that their platform is a walled garden. It's not scraping the open internet. It's building the simulation strictly from the client's verified SOPs.
So it eliminates the hallucination problem.
It minimizes it significantly by restricting the source data. And this connects to their pedigree. I mean, EON Reality has been in the XR space for 25 years. This isn't some startup that just popped up.
That history matters. They were doing this before the iPhone existed.
They've been building these environments for decades. Now they're just using AI to build them faster.
There's a quote from their chairman, Dan Lajerskar, that I think sums up the ambition. He said, "The EON platform is more than a technology. It's a transformation engine."
It sounds a bit like marketing fluff, I know. But in this context, transformation refers to the workforce itself. It's about transforming institutional knowledge, that stuff in Bob's head, into a digital asset that doesn't retire.
Digital immortality for job skills.
In a way, yeah. It preserves the how-to of an organization regardless of turnover. The company doesn't get dumber when people leave.
So let's just recap what we've unpacked today. It's a dense ecosystem. We have the create layer.
The Genesis engine turning text to 3D in minutes.
We have the experience layer.
The competency ladder and the whisper coach guiding the learning.
And then the verify layer.
The tri-modal assessment, making sure you can write, speak, and perform the task. All designed to solve that huge 50% retirement cliff we started with.
It really feels like the end of the read and sign era of training. But I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought that struck me while we were discussing the oral assessment.
Go on.
We've been talking about this from the company's perspective, how they verify you. But think about what this means for the individual. If an AI can interview you, listen to your reasoning, and watch you work in a simulation to certify you, are we moving toward a world where your resume simply doesn't matter?
That is the ultimate provocation here.
I mean, think about it. Who cares where you went to college? Who cares what your job title was 5 years ago? If you can log into the EON platform and the AI certifies go as O, you have 100% competency in operating this specific machine.
Isn't that the only data point a recruiter should care about?
Right.
It points toward a skill economy, a pure meritocracy, where your verified simulation data is your currency. It wouldn't matter who you are, it only matters, can you do the job and can you prove it?
It's exciting, but also a little daunting. The ultimate test, graded by a machine.
It will certainly change how we define qualified, and it
Hmm.
might actually be fairer
Yeah.
than the system we have now, which relies so much on, who you know or where you went to school.
That is a very good point. If the simulation is the great equalizer, maybe that's a good thing. We'll be watching closely to see how quickly this gets adopted.
It's February 13, 2026, and the future of work just got a lot more virtual. That's it for this deep dive. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you trust an AI to grade your job performance? Think about it. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.